Hello and welcome to this our PCS Facebook Live. Really warm welcome to those of you joining us on either Twitter or YouTube, and hopefully the format of the meeting will be fairly familiar to you. I'm Fran Heathcote, I'm the president of PCS, and joining me tonight we've got some really great speakers who I'm sure you'll be keen to hear from. But before I hand over to them, it's just worth reminding ourselves that we're holding this as a sort of pre-strike meeting for our big day of action on the 15th of March. Clearly, we want that to be massive. We want that to be a big success. That's going to be a real show of strength in terms of showing the government exactly what our members are prepared to do and why it's so important that we make this campaign a success. So what we'll do shortly, I will hand over to our speakers. They'll all introduce themselves, tell you a little bit about themselves, about what's going on. We will then ask for any questions, comments, or contributions that you want to make in the usual way, whichever medium you're using to join us tonight. If you post your questions in there, we'll make sure we get through as many of those as possible. As always, if you've got solidarity shout out messages, it'd be great to hear from you. And I will get through as many of those as I can. So keep them coming and we'll make sure we read them out. Without any further ado, then, I'm really, really pleased to introduce our first speaker. It's Dr. Andrew Mayerson, who is a striking A&E doctor, and he's joining us live from the picket line in London tonight. And Dr. Andrew, we're really, really pleased that you could join us. Over to you.
Can everybody hear me?
Perfectly.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm sorry that I couldn't. It's a huge honor to join you guys. I'm sorry that I couldn't join from the picket line. We finished the picket line activities, and then everybody ran down to Whitehall to this unbelievably massive rally, gathering of thousands of doctors, and incredible signs, incredible spirits, and. I'll tell you something funny that we all went down there, and when we go into training, oftentimes we switch hospitals where we work we're there for 3 months, 6 months, and then we meet people, we make friends, and then we move to another hospital, and we have to start over again, which is one of the really difficult things about the training program sometimes. But it seemed to be like not only was today a massive rally of solidarity, but it was also a massive reunion as well. And so we got to see a lot of our colleagues that we've been seeing in a long time. So it was a really nice event today. And it just started raining. And so I came back home. So that's why I'm all sweaty. But I'm sorry I'm not reporting live from the picket line. But I was so happy to make it back for this because I've heard wonderful things about you guys, wonderful things about your union, and good luck on your with your activities this week. So you can tell from my accent, I'm not from this country. I'm from the United States. And I come from a big healthcare family where my dad happened to be a doctor. My mother was a speech pathologist. My one aunt was a matron. One uncle was a burns nurse. My other uncle was ran a radiology department. My brother's an EMT. My sister's a palliative care chaplain and a rabbi. And I grew up in a healthcare family, passionate about the poor delivery of healthcare back in the States. And so I came here about 8 years ago to study medicine and just fell in love with the NHS. And it is such a beautiful, perfect system, the model of it. And 10 years ago, the NHS was the best ranked healthcare system on the planet. A lot of people don't know that. If you look at the international rankings from 2013, you guys were ranked #1 in so many different categories. And it was it's a huge honor to work in the system. And I love working in A&E. I love the NHS. But, after 10 years of, running the NHS into the ground we're talking, 400 billion that's been pulled out of the system, no plan for NHS doctors and nurses and, NHS staff. And, they've eliminated countless A&E departments and 20,000 hospital beds and no plan for social care. And we have, the worst waiting list in NHS history. It's 7.2 million people long now, and it's awful. And people are waiting forever to see their GP, to get their cancer referrals. And, the most horrible statistic that I think is that every single week we see 500 deaths from preventable causes across the country. And that's due to terrible delays accessing NHS emergency care, whether it's on the back of an ambulance or, in our A&E departments. And so I come from a terrible place where healthcare is delivered so poorly, and I came to this mecca of healthcare delivery, and I want to see it, I want to see it whole again, and I want to see it function again. Yet when the government does not listen to us, does not listen to our warnings about how bad the situation is getting for patients, and we have on Friday night we had the health secretary Stephen Barclay tell us that before we go on strike, we should check our conscience. Well, that was just so offensive to us. The idea that we should, and so look, I check my conscience, and my conscience tells me that if we have a government that is allowing 500 preventable deaths to occur in this country every single week, here in the sixth wealthiest country on the planet in 2023, that we have a moral obligation, and they're doing nothing meaningful about it to fix it. We have a moral obligation to stand up for our patients, to stand up for our profession, and to stand up for our NHS.
Andrew,
so that is why I'm so passionate about this, and so.
Andrew, I'm really sorry to talk across you. There's a problem with our IT. It turns out that this isn't broadcasting.
Oh, okay.
And
Well,
I
glad I got to
didn't want
speak
to.
to you
I've
guys.
just had a message through to say, can